This passage I want to look at is in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 through 10, which says, "For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them." Now, I love this passage because this passage means that God had a plan for your life before you were born. You are the workmanship of God. I don't care what your mama told you. I don't care what your daddy told you. I don't care what the bullies told you. You are the workmanship of God. You were created in Jesus Christ, okay? He is actually the source point of your life. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. You are created in Christ Jesus. So you truly, I can't get into all of this right now, but you were created in him before the foundation of the world. And you were created in him for good works. And he ordained the works that were attributed and assigned to your life from beforehand so that you could walk in them. You are here on earth to walk out things that are written in God's book about you already. Meaning that God has a plan for your life. He has a reason for your existence. You're not an accident. I love this passage from a higher dimensional standpoint. You know, in my book, Higher Dimensions, I include this passage that I had learned from reading another scientist's book on approaching the speed of light. And he suggested that as you approach, you know, when you're at a low speed relative to the speed of light, you have cause precedes effect. In other words, if I take an arrow and I shoot it at a target, the cause, which is me releasing the arrow, precedes the effect, which is the arrow hitting the target. But as you approach about half the speed of light, cause begins to equal effect. In other words, the moment that I release the arrow from the bow, it's already in the target because of the speed I'm moving at. But if I approach the speed of light, and everything gets a little bit wacky because effect precedes cause. In other words, the arrow was already in the target, and it kind of gets received back into the arrow. And so as we approach God, who is light, what happens is that we are actually receiving the arrow, which is the works that we were ordained to do from beforehand, back into our bow, which is the life that we are walking out in this world. In other words, we are receiving from heaven things which were preordained for us to walk in while we are yet on the earth. And this is why grace allows us to connect with true purpose. It says, "For by grace are you saved through faith, and not that of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast." Okay? And when we begin to look at how we are saved by the ability of God. We are saved by God's divine influence upon the heart. We are saved by the finished work of Jesus Christ. We are saved by unmerited favor.